All right, we're back for another episode of the Body Beauty Show. Today's guest, I don't frankly know where to start. Her resume is longer than the Mississippi River, but let's take a stab. An author, a chemist, a promulgator of beauty in her own right. She owns Sumbody, which is as we're about to find out, a fabulous product line of skincare products and all things adjacent. She is a modern day polymath. You might go as far as to call her a pioneer, a trailblazer, et cetera, et cetera. If there's anyone in the universe that we live in who is a skin fanatic, this is going to be the show for you. Debbie Burns, thanks for being on the show. How in the heck are you?
Good. Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. I'm excited to have you on. We're going to get into a lot of fun territory, and I'm sure the listeners are going to love this one in particular because you have a heck of a backstory. So let's start at the top, the beginning, who Debbie is, what you do, and how you found yourself in this universe from being a chemist to now a pioneer in skin. So talk to me.
Yeah.
What is your backstory?
Yeah. So kind of a little background there, and I'll do it fast. I actually started as a model in front of the camera. Was born and raised in Manhattan, or in New York. I was actually born on the island, but lived in Manhattan. And I think people don't realize that Salvador Dali didn't die that long ago. But when I was a very little girl, his photographer he chose me, Salvador Dali, to work with him exclusively for many years as a model. And I thought I would go into high fashion and I thought I would continue modeling. But as I grew up, I didn't grow up tall. And at that time, there was one look, one type. You had to be, 6 feet tall or whatnot to be in fashion. And I dabbled and did some modeling. I had a background in chemistry, a background in botany, a background in medicinal herbal medicine, and I actually went to cosmetology school, not because I ever thought I would do anything with skin or in the field or hair, but because I just always was like, what are they doing with my hair and makeup when I'm in there? I'd love to know. And that was my aha moment. I absolutely fell in love with skin. It was the most, skin is just amazing. It literally physically keeps you together. It is the first thing we all see. It is one of the diagnosis tools we use in medicine. So many diseases show up on skin. I mean, it just is the most incredible thing. I love skin so much. My passion has never, gone away for it. So I decided to do aesthetics. And I was in Los Angeles at this time, had a large celebrity following. By no means of me, I am the worst networker. I am the worst promoter. So it was just kind of like one of those word of mouth kind of things. And I just wasn't getting the results I wanted on skin. It just wasn't happening. So I've always been a lifelong healthy lifestyle person. When I was 5, I told my mother that I wasn't going to eat animals anymore, to which she thought she really raised where did this craziness come from? This child is crazy. What do you mean? When I realized pork was pig and, and like beef was cow, I was like, wait a minute, like I'm not eating animals. And I also, who knows why, told my mom like I wasn't going to be in me. I just did all these crazy things. So from there, my life has always taken a very holistic, approach. And so I went to where I thought natural products would live, to the health food store at the time, trying to see if I could get better results getting some of these chemicals off of people's skin. And there just was nothing available. There was literally nothing available. And I'd read the ingredients of the things that were on the shelves at the health food store, and it was just as packed with chemicals as what was at the drugstore and the better department store. So I started making my own products with my background in herbal studies, herbal medicine, chemistry, and all of that, and as a trained esthetician, and was just using them on my clients. And my clients were like, oh my God, we finally got these amazing, amazing results. So, I think that is how I built my celebrity clientele so much, because it happened so fast and I had to have a waiting list. And I was like, I can't. And then, of course, that always psychs people out. Well, how do you get into Debbie? You can't get into Debbie. She has a waiting list. Like, come on.
It's exclusive. I've got to be VIP. Yeah.
It's so much more exciting, but it just happened so fast. It kind of snowballed. And, whereas they would, my clients would all say I was a miracle worker. I would say, okay, I'll take a little bit of credit, but, really most of the credit is, knowing how to formulate. You really need to know everything doesn't play well together. So just because it's
Yeah.
good for your skin doesn't mean you can just throw it all together and it's going to work well together. So being a fantastic formulator, having that background in, in herbal, medicinal, all of that, and being an esthetician and being able to see what works on skin and getting those chemicals out. It's the chemicals that are literally destroying our skin. And so that was really most of the magic. So I
Yeah.
didn't, I went around and with really, with big promotion from my clients at the time saying, Deb, like you've gotta, you gotta sell these products. They're so good. And I went all over and everyone was like, wait, what? Like you can't just start a little independent brand and like sell products,
Uh,
it's like, I'm sorry, but like, we have to be Clinique. I mean, there was like very few players in the game. And I was like, well, don't ever tell me I can't do anything because that means I'm going to. So,
oof.
started the brand, and because nobody would purchase them at the time, we opened a couple of stores and then day spas so that people could, we could use the products. And that is
Mm.
how Somebody was launched. And to this day, I'm still the only brand that has what we call the 360 perspective. So we manufacture all of our own products. That's a huge one. Most people are going to co-packers and they have zero control over the quality of the ingredients that they're using, what the chemistry is behind it, how much they can make at a time. They have huge minimums they have to meet. I just got a call from this sweetest young entrepreneur saying, Debbie, you're always so generous and help all entrepreneurs. They made me order 10,000 pieces. It's 4 years later. I still have 5,000 pieces left, so, oh, this is common in this industry. So, the minimums are high. So we manufacture all of our own products. We source each and every ingredient. So if you want to meet the goats that our goat milk comes from, I can introduce you. As a matter of fact,
Wow.
yeah, when
Are you
COVID
doing goat yoga as well? Give me your
is
money's worth.
when COVID is over, we'll go do a video with them.
Yeah.
Being a mother and having nursed both of my daughters, I certainly wouldn't want to be nursing the rest of my life. So I really wanted to make sure that they were treated humanely and they weren't just, all that good kind of stuff. Or I can tell you the exact plot where our palm oil comes from and who the workers are and how they're treated and why we've decided to use palm oil in light of all the real negative publicity it's getting. So we source all of our own ingredients. We manufacture everything. I formulate everything. So every formula is unique, whereas I'm not just putting a label on from some co-packer that a million
Yeah.
other people are getting.
Yeah.
And because I'm a trained esthetician, I get to see how it works in a lab and how it works on skin. So, from beginning to end, we have a full 360 perspective, whereas most brands, have an outside chemist. They don't have any esthetician on staff, most of them, which is a big hole. And they're manufactured somewhere else. They have no idea. So it really does make a difference, and it shows up in our products and ultimately on your skin.
Uh, I wish you could see the wires of my brain exploding as I'm trying to decide which credit card I'm going to use to buy all of your skincare products. As my face is a mess. I've been plagued with acne for the last 600 years.
Hmm.
I'll be talking to you offline about about some solutions there. But in any case, this is a show about you.
Oh, we
So
got you there.
yeah, I'm sure you do. This is incredible. So how did you? Maybe this is a trivial question, but how did you land on the name Sumbody?
No, that is such an amazing question, actually. Thank you for asking it. So, for me, my belief about beauty has never been about the products you're using, it's the
Mm.
whole sum total of who we are. So, it's the foods
Ah,
we eat, the thoughts we think. We've all had this experience where you see someone going through a terrible breakup and you're like,
yeah.
they're not looking that good, or if you see someone who's newly in love and you're like, oh my gosh, they're glowing, right? So
Yeah, right.
all of our emotions show up on our skin, the foods we eat show up on our skin. So my thing is about the whole sum of who we are. So when I look at skin and when I work with my clients, I look at the whole total person. And if you look at our Somebody line, you will see that we have supporting products. We have everything from stress and anxiety zappers to depression zappers to our exorcist smudge spray. It's like we have everything to encompass your whole being, because we know when you're, feeling relaxed, when you're feeling happy, when you're feeling joyful, your skin looks better. We also always talk about foods, and we launched a beauty bar 17 years ago. And so, as a matter of fact, it was at the Academy Awards in the bag one year. And we sold out of it so fast, we couldn't keep it in stock. We pulled it off just because it was something we were having done at a co-packer. We didn't make the beauty bars here. And things had changed. And so any co-packer who wants to reach out to me, definitely would love to launch them again. So, I've always looked at food, emotions, everything. So that's the name, Sumbody. It's the whole sum of who you are, what makes you beautiful.
Wow. One of the first people I've had on the show that has a thoroughly, how would I articulate this? The name means something. A lot of places don't have a lot of meaning and thought put behind their name, but you do, which is incredible. So I love it. I love it. I love it. Very cool. So as a chemist, are you still involved with the formulations? Is that something that you're actively working on, or is that largely outsourced?
Yeah, no. So I am actually a cosmetic formulator, and I formulate each and every product in our line, every single one. We don't outsource anything
Really?
in formulations. I mean, I've worked with some amazing chemists over the years. I've been the keynote speaker at the Society of Cosmetic Chemists, actually talking on what is natural. It's such a huge, we could do a whole nother podcast on that. But yes, I mean, I've formulated for other brands. I've helped, other people. But definitely each and every product you get from somebody is formulated by me.
Wow. So I'm assuming, allowing resellers to sell your products in their stores through some arrangement. Is that something that you offer people that you work with?
Yeah, so that's super interesting. At first, we just had our products available in our stores and online. I'm a big believer in walk before you run, and I'm also a
Yeah.
big believer in like partnering with people that you feel like have like-minded, ethics, goals, all that good kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So we're not in, so yes, we do have, our products are sold by third party. We're at a lot of really amazing independent grocery stores, because we feel like keeping these independent stores alive is so important, so we don't become a cookie cutter world where all you have is Starbucks and Gap and Whole Foods.
Right.
So we have some incredible partners. We are actually at Costco.com and at Costco Next, which is a new venture from Costco. It's really quite an incredible undertaking. I really believe in Costco. I love their model. I love the way they treat their employees. I love the vetting that they do just to get on there. It was unbelievable how much they cared about each and every product. And I've always been a huge Costco fan, so it was, a perfect fit. So we definitely are out there in the wholesale arena, not in such a huge way that we're saturated. Probably the most obvious way you're going to find us is on our website, or on Costco Next or Costco.com. But yeah, we work with spas. We have plenty, we work with different properties. We do amenities. We do high-end spas. We work with day spas. So absolutely.
Okay. So the reason I asked the question is, I'm sitting here thinking, what would the listener die to know? And I think one of the things that that are in the um, aesthetics universe specifically that do have a retail side, which as we hedge against the impending wave of shutdowns, at least as a possibility across the states, one of the themes that we keep running into is that you have to have a way to diversify your portfolio, your menu, your product lines, so that you can weather the storm of being without being able to interface and see customers for in-person treatments. And one of the ways that you do that is through retail and online, et cetera. So I was thinking, well, maybe Debbie can share some thoughts on how to choose a skincare line to add to their retail side without making a bad decision. But as I'm saying that, I'm thinking, Well, they should just sell your products.
They should just sell our products.
Just
But you know
sell
what?
her products.
I,
Let me make it easy
yeah,
on you.
I would like to answer that question though, aside from just Sumbody. I do teach master classes to spas all over the country in the real un-COVID world, about how to master retail, how to get more money out of your spa, how to train your staff to, be able to upsell from your estheticians and massage therapists to your front desk, because this is an art and this is something that is really lacking. And we have taken properties from, doing 5% in retail sales to 65, 70%. So I mean, huge ways. So if you're not having, retail sales after your treatments, you're doing something wrong. Like you need
Wow.
some help with that. So that's a whole nother class that I teach, and I'd be happy to share it with you on a podcast, but it would take up more time than we have right now. But it's really important. And what they have to remember is the customer wants this. If you go to the doctor because your arm is hurting and your doctor is like, oh, hey, we x-rayed your arm, it's broken. See you later, bye. And you're like, okay, well, do you want me to put a sling on it? Should I come back in a week? Can I have pain meds?
Right.
You want direction. Well, if you go to your massage therapist or your esthetician and they just give you a facial and say, see you later, bye, it's like, no, you need to be like, here's what I noticed about your skin. Here's what's going on. Here's what I suggest for your home care, routine. And there are ways to do it that they don't feel sold. I mean, we have all these little techniques and tricks of where you just, give them, the suggestions. And anyway, that's a whole nother show. But yes, it's very important. And speaking of pivoting and how do you choose a brand, first, I would say identify what's important to you. Do you care about natural? Do you want to go chemical based? Like, what do you want? Some of both in your spa? Like, who are you? What is important to you? And if you want natural, and this is why I, speaking as a keynote at the Society of Cosmetic Chemists, we can't even agree what natural means. So how do we expect the consumer to know? But I guarantee you right now, and you can pick up my last book. What did I do? Oh, it's my computer. Anyway, you can pick up my last book. It's literally 1,000, definitions of common ingredients in skincare to kind of help you go through it, or any of my books. But most of what's being sold as natural is not at all. It's synthetic. Don't believe that derived from coconut. That's why if you're not a cosmetic formulator, and I mean, I taught a class with the founder of Aveda before he died at the HBA convention in New York. And he told me that he was duped. His chemists were saying it was natural, it's natural. I think he was brilliant. I think he really had this idea to bring botanicals into skincare very early on in the game. But his stuff was just as toxic and chemical laden as everything else on the market. But his chemists were saying, well, it's natural. It comes from coconut, and it wasn't until he learned how caustic his stuff was that he sold it, walked away. He did wait 10 years and then opened another for his non-compete, and then opened another brand before he died that was legit natural. But regardless, my point being is that, figure out who you are, what you want, make sure that you're partnering, do your homework, make sure that, and it's not that the brand you're working with might not be the most honest, incredible people, because I have met the most earnest, lovely, incredibly integrous people who have crappy brands because they were told this by, someone else. So do your homework there. And then, you need a good partner. So one thing that makes us a really great partner is that because I started in retail, because there was no place to sell our products, I know what it takes to get stuff moving off of a shelf. It's not just about somebody getting that purchase order from you. They need to be giving you free, like right now, we're giving out free mini samples. We do in the real world, we'll do events for people. We do, like, you need a partner who's going to help you sell this product. We do constant trainings for their staff, and we don't brand slam them about somebody. You don't need a training. You do need to understand our product, but we talk about skin and what skin needs, and, help their estheticians be better estheticians, be better at figuring out what's going on. We offer support from me with anything that they're, oh, my client has this and it's not happening. What do you suggest? Also, I've been doing Zoom events for all of our partners. So, they can have a Zoom party, and, obviously everybody's at a different location, but I've given them spa in a box kits with what they carry from us. So they're selling those, and then they have me, teaching the class. We've done girls' night out, girls' night in. We have pivoted so fast and so hard to be really strong partners for our brands, and to, we've had to pivot ourselves as well. So finding someone that understands it's not just about writing a purchase order. They need to be a partner. They need to be in this with you to get those sales off the shelf, because just putting something on the shelf is only half of the battle. The other half of the battle is actually getting it out the door. For us, once a product is out the door, people come back and back and back and back and back, because, I always say, if you listen, skin will tell you. Skin tells the truth. When you put something on and your skin is like, wow, and you see that transformation, you're going to use that product again and again. So I need to get it in the door of a retailer and then out the door into the, customer's hand, and then my job is done. Then they'll come back on their own. So that would be my advice when you're looking for a partner. And
Yeah.
I use that word partner purposely, because you are partners in this. You want someone who's going to be there. We've been doing Instagram Live with our partners, and me personally. So all kinds of wonderful stuff.
Wow. I think a lot of estheticians, spa owners, et cetera, that, to continue the analogy that you used, hey, we x-rayed your arm, your leg, your femur's broken in 50 places. Take care. Those that don't have some sort of retail side of the business are missing out on the surgery that they could provide in this analogy. So I think where a lot of estheticians and spa owners are likely struggling is, okay, you said, do my homework. Got it. Okay. www.google.com and go. Or something like that. And there's assumably, at least in my experience doing research, there is a drove of misinformation
Oh
or
my God.
disinformation or whatever. So how do I sniff out the truth of a brand's integrity and veracity, et cetera, from the non-deserving of my attention and et cetera? So is there a way that you can reliably do homework?
I mean, that's a
Sniff this out?
great, yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I wrote my second book, which is really, DIY products that you can make at home, because I wanted to empower women to not even have to buy products if they don't want to, that
Yeah.
they can take their beauty and their health into their own hands. But it was really driven by one of my clients whose daughter was now following her mother's footsteps and in acting, and was up for a role, and she had a massive breakout, and I couldn't understand how. Like, we had worked on her skin for years. It was so beautiful. Well, it turned out she was on the internet, and at the time, Elmer's glue peel-off masks were all the rage, and these were by skin experts, skin gurus, and she had done that. She was also making her own blusher with cinnamon and cornstarch, another expert, online, which those are absolutely, that's another show too.
Okay.
And I just recently, taught a class with someone else who was a skin expert, was a certified skin expert, whatever that means. And literally all the advice she was giving was 100% wrong. And I just had to bite my tongue. I didn't want to make her look bad, but she's like, oh, you should be exfoliating once a day for acne. No, you're going to spread your acne, and she was giving them DIY masks with and she had these kids using it with raw egg. And it's like, no, have you heard of salmonella? So
my
I
gosh.
think, everybody is calling themselves an expert, and there's a new beauty company popping up literally every 5
day.
They all call me for help. And you can't just jump into this field, and especially with COVID and understanding, one reason our hand sanitizer has been flying off the shelf is we've had hand sanitizer for 20 years. It's always been 80% organic, ethanol. It's never changed. It needs to be 80%. It is 80%. So it's like, you really need to make sure that you are, why is this person? I hear a lot of people, I'm a mom, or I love skincare. I love cooking in my kitchen. I love doing this. My friends all tell me my products are great that I make. How long has this company been in business? Who's at the helm of it? If you called and you wanted to carry our products, they would get me on the phone. I would be able to answer any question. I could tell you where every ingredient is from. You do not need your chemistry degree to understand our ingredients. I could, you could use my book as a resource, all my books as a resource, but it shouldn't be complicated. was doing the research for my first book over, 18 years ago. It was groundbreaking. It was called Look Great, Live Green. And it was like the omnivore's dilemma of the beauty industry. And I was busting all the lies and fabrications in our industry. So I'm very popular, by the way, in our industry as well. And I took Whole Foods down at that time because they had, our certified whatever, but they wouldn't tell you what was in their certification. So what does that mean? They do now. They've changed. But so it's like people would hang up the phone on me when I was saying, can you tell me what this proprietary blend means? Can you tell me this isn't, legally documented on your label? Can you give me the real Latin inky definition here so that I know what's in there? I mean, they were just literally, hey, can I talk to someone who knows about this? And it was sad because a lot of them were products I included other products in my book on Sumbody brands. I'm always a big, let's lift each other up. We don't need to be in competition. We can lift each other up. So I wanted to include them. I did include a lot of brands, but you hang up on the phone on me and I'm a little suspicious, so yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one. I do consultations. So if you're not interested in carrying somebody, but you want someone to help you migrate this, I do consultation work as well. So it's a lot. It's a lot to know.
Wow. So is there one go-to source or site, the NCBI or whatever, where you say, hey, this is probably a reliable source of insight and info if you're looking to add a new retail line?
No, there isn't, because,
So it's not easy.
sadly, well, when I first wrote my book, I held up a brand called Suki. I have no idea. I don't know the owner of Suki. I've never met the owner. I've never tried the products. I don't know if the products are really good, if they work, but I was very upset because they were listed at 10 as being the worst toxicity on Environmental Working Group. And their ingredients at that time, remember this is 18 years ago, were 100% clean. They were pure. There was no reason to have them on there. And so while I love what Environmental Working Group is doing, and it's gotten better over the years, it's such an enormous undertaking that they did, that little things like this of course would fall through the cracks. So other countries, so with Suki, they used alcohol, and all the research, this is just data mining, right? So all the research on alcohol is that it causes liver cancer. I mean, we all know what happens if you drink too much, but the amount of alcohol that is in your skincare, if it's pure grain alcohol and you're not consuming it, but you can't vet all that. I mean, not one person was looking at all this and putting it in.
Yeah.
It was an accumulation of it, which is fantastic. They're amazing. I love them. I love where they're going, but it's just, you're taking all that information. Another brand was given a 10 because they're European brand, and they listed out their essential oils the way you legally had to do it in Europe, which was by all the components that are in an essential oil. But yet another brand in America used the same essential oil and got a 0 because because it pulled up the components as being toxic, but not the overall. I mean, they're just imperfections, but it's a fantastic, I mean, they're really doing great things and trying and working towards improving, all of this. But anytime you're data mining and throwing everything in, there's likely to be, so I just think, use all these resources, but use your critical mind, critical thinking. If it says derived from coconut, I can pull all the molecules of coconut apart and put them back together and make plastic. So in its original incarnation, it was coconut, but there's no recognition of the coconut anymore. So, that's misleading. There are little tricks that I give in my book. Like if you still see the word coconut or any part of coconut in the name of the chemical, it's going to be closer to coconut than if it just doesn't even have any, relationship to it. So, so yeah, I mean, it's very difficult. The problem is it's very difficult. You need a consultant, or you really need to be able to, do some critical thinking. Well, what does that mean, derived from coconut? Well, what is it now? Like, what is the process? Like, how did it, or, whatever extract. Well, what is it extracted in? Because that's a great way we hide toxic things in ingredients. You can extract it in propylene glycol, which is on my top 10 list to avoid. But we don't have to put that on the label because we just say rosemary extract. We don't need to say what it's extracted in. So yeah.
Wow.
Complicated. I'm telling you, when I say this isn't easy.
I thought skin was simple, Debbie. I just put, the Neutrogena little benzoyl peroxide pads on my face and hope for the best. But I guess it's not so simple. It's complicated. Of course, it's complicated. Which is why listeners should just hire a consultant and make this easy on themselves on picking the right damn product line. And here's why I'm harping on this, by the way. So I'm looking at the State of the Industry report from American Med Spa Association, and 19% of the survey respondents last year listed how to stay up to date on technology and how to make the decision regarding what to offer as one of the top 3 issues facing the practice today. And so a part of that, this is one of the recommendations from AmSpa, was that retail skincare is great, however, only if it's done right. And so they're advocating that you choose 2 to 3 lines max, one that's inexpensive for all skin types and one for anti-aging. And so, getting the right or choosing the right product line is vital. And I think a lot of people are just like, help. So, I'll make it easy on them. Have them call you.
Let me add this to that. If you think that the people who you're giving a facial to or a massage to are not buying skincare, you're just wrong. What if you're not carrying it? What's happening is they're buying it somewhere else. So, the whole point about increasing your revenue at your, spa or what have you, is to keep all the money in house, so to speak. So instead of them going to Ulta or Sephora or their local grocery store or wherever they may go, to Sumbody to buy their skincare, you want to keep them buying it from you. So, how do you do that? You want to garner their trust. You want to have the best products, and you need something that's really going to give them results. Because when people get results, they don't walk away. You don't walk away from results. So, you're missing a huge revenue stream, because trust me when I tell you, these people are buying skincare. They are buying, hand soaps and bath fizzers and bath salts, and, they're buying, bath and body products, lotions, hand creams, and they're buying, skincare. And right now, these sales are going crazy with COVID. People are not going out as much, but they're looking for ways to turn their, bathroom into a sanctuary, to deal with their stress, to deal with their anxiety, to deal with their tension. We've got single moms who are now teachers, mothers, cooks, chef, doing everything. We have married couples who are, and working, who are, migrating 2 careers, homeschooling their kids. We have, people who are migrating a job, working from home for the first time. There's a lot going on, and we have seen a huge rise in skincare and wellness products. So, everything from our Let My Muscles Go to our Muscle Balm to our hand sanitizer to our, stress relieving crystal infused sprays are flying, to our mask knee products, to our anti-aging products. I'm gonna tell you, I feel like I've aged 10 years. My daughters used to take all the credit for my aging. No. Sorry. They would never take the credit. I gave them the credit. I have a 30-year-old and how old is she? If she's 30, she must be 27. I have a 30-year-old and a 27-year-old, and I used to joke that all of every single gray hair, every, whatever, is because of them. But now I'll say COVID has caught up. It's definitely.
Well, Debbie, whatever you're doing is working, because you don't look a day over 40.
Well,
I was trying to do the math. If you've got a 30-year-old, you got to be at least 45, I guess. Anyway,
thank you.
You look amazing. Yeah, which is testament to your damn products working. So our listeners should connect with you and get your products. I don't know. Wow. So little time, so many questions. I'm going to start landing the plane here with a few that I can't resist asking. Of the 3 books that you've written, so Natural Beauty Skincare, 110 Organic Formulas for a Radiant You, The Beauty Geek's Guide to Skincare, and Look Great, Live Green, which of those 3 books are you the most proud of?
Oh my gosh. I can't. I just can't.
You have to?
It's like asking me which child I like the best. And I'll never
We'll
do
ask that
that.
next.
My
We won't
children
tell
are
your
like,
kids though.
my children are, but well, my older daughter says she's the most loved because she's the first child, but it's not true. I mean, both they're individuals. I love them both equally in different ways. So,
Mhm.
I feel the same way about my books. I mean, Look Great, Live Green was revolutionary. I busted this industry. I gave you access to your health. I mean, I'm a big
Yeah.
believer in, I mean, I think that was groundbreaking and terrifying to do because I was taking on an industry that I'm a huge part of. But I felt
Mhm.
like, you as the public should have as much information about what happens in the beauty industry as I do, because I'm not going to tell you whether you should use chemicals or not use chemicals. That's not my place, but I do want you to be armed with all the information you need to make a conscious choice. So for example, I wouldn't say don't smoke cigarettes, but if you choose to smoke cigarettes, I want you to know everything that cigarettes can do. And the beauty industry has been preying on women. It's a, $80 billion industry and growing, and having backdoor access to our health and safety for too many years. And I was like, no, you can make conscious choices. I want you to know the truth. And so that was groundbreaking for me. The formulation book was just like so tired of, people doing crazy things on the internet because of all these so-called experts. And I wanted to empower women to not even need to buy Sumbody products or anything else. Like, hey, if you want to do this yourself, here you go, from a cosmetic formulator and a trained esthetician. Let me give you the real deal so you can make real products. And then the last book was absolutely a labor of love. I told my publisher, heck no, am I going to write that book? It's like, that's crazy. You want me to write a dictionary? Go get someone else. And they just kept coming back and saying, we asked everybody in the industry, and they're like, Deborah Burns is the only person we would trust. And I was like, well, you better tell them to find another Deborah Burns. And they're like, no. So they kept coming back to me, like saying, no, like we have literally now reached out, to all of our sources, and everything comes back to you. And it was just a series of things where I was like, okay, I'll do it. So that was probably the hardest book, and the most resistant I was to writing a book. And so I'm proud of each of them on different levels.
Fair enough. Listeners, go buy her damn books. They look amazing. You should see the cover work, and the cover page is beautiful, which is an obvious indicator that the content inside is equally gold, in my estimation. So you can find her books on her website, sumbody.com, sumbody.com, and you'll be glad that you scooped those. Is there a book that you would suggest that estheticians, spa owners should read that they're completely oblivious to the existence of?
I would say, Look Great, Live Green, and the 1,000 ingredient definitions. If I had to choose just one, I would say maybe the ingredient definitions, so people can have kind of like a Bible of, like,
Yeah.
when they're researching and they're looking at things. Again, it's not judgmental. If you're looking for someone to say, don't use this or do use this, I don't do that. I try to be very neutral and just put it in a non-chemistry, easy to read form of what this ingredient is, how it's derived, where it comes from, what we do know about it. So, and then Look Great, Live Green, it will just give you a real encompassing background about how we're all being duped. We're being sold, not told the truth in the beauty
Yeah.
industry. So, I mean, my biggest advice, if you're not going to read that book, is, do not listen to the front of the label. The front of the label sells you, but it doesn't tell you. So it's like, I'm natural, I'm organic, I'm this, I'm that, hyperallergenic, good for you, da la 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 la. Turn it off. Turn that around and read that back label, because that's where all the truth lives. Get intimate
Mhm.
with your ingredients. The 70s was this big time where what we're putting into our bodies and understanding ingredients. Well, you know what? All these products have transdermal penetration. And if you're eating an organic apple and soaking in toxic bubble bath, you're actually absorbing more chemicals through your skin than you are by just eating that apple. So you get as intimate with the ingredients you're soaking in, slathering in, putting on yourself as you are what you would eat.
Wow, I got to stop touching my face. You've got me all self-conscious about the quantity of my face touching. Oh my goodness. All right. Well, I will have you on again if you're up for it. But let's answer this last question, and then we'll give a plug for you and a way for the listeners to find you. Although I've already given away the secret, which is her website. But what would you say is, as you look back over the years of all your decisions that you made, what is the one thing that you wish you would have started doing sooner in your business?
Selling things wholesale. We did not start selling things wholesale. I mean, people were literally knocking down the doors to get Sumbody products. And, it was very hard for me continuing to have my own personal clients, writing books,
Yeah.
formulating everything for somebody, and being a mom. And to tell you the truth, being a mom was always my first priority. So I never missed a play, a recital, a soccer game. Did did their dinner. We hung out every night. And so, so I know what all you parents are going through right now, because I even homeschooled my kids during all this time for some of it. Although I did have an amazingly supportive husband and partner, so I didn't do all this alone. But meanwhile, it was a lot. And so something had to be put on the back burner. So I put somebody on the back burner and turned down all of these really huge opportunities to roll things out, because I just really was really devoted to my children. And, I did what I could do to maintain that, and the books and the customer, all this, and really be, I mean, my daughters are like, I mean, again, I have a daughter who's a doctor and a nurse, and they were like, because you showed us you can do anything. They're like, I never remember you not being there. When I worked from the time they went to bed till the time they got up in the morning, it was a lot of sleepless nights, and just, kind of like, but, and I'd be like, play date, yes, mom can get work done. Kid wants to come over, come on over. It's like
Mhm.
free babysitting. So, that was always my priority. And had I have said yes to more of those opportunities, we would be a huge brand right now. So, I don't regret any second that I spend with my children, and would do it all over again. But, maybe there was a way that I could have not compromised that and been able to take advantage of the organic growth I had. And maybe had I had a business mentor or someone who was like, well, hey, well, why don't you bring on someone to do that piece of it, and you can do this piece? There are probably ways I could have negotiated it, but I was young and naive, and, didn't really know. And so I think that would be it. And I would tell a mom, today, like, let's work this out. Let's make sure your kids aren't second priority and your business goes where you want it to go. Because
Yeah.
now this market is so saturated, those opportunities are just not there the way they were when, I was the only one.
Yeah. Wow. Well, is there anything else you'd want to leave the listeners with as far as a message, a pro tip? Hey, don't do this. I did this thing and it was a disaster. Don't partner with Hannibal Lecter or whatever it might be.
I don't really think there's any one thing that you can sum up. I would say, if you don't love this, if it's not your passion, if you don't like live, breathe, eat, think about skin, upset. I mean, skin is so incredibly amazing. And I think, like, being passionate about it is what is going to make you be successful,
Yeah.
because it's very hard to make money in this field, in anything, in a spa, in a manufacturing, in whatever it is. So if you're going to dive in, and if you are if you are in, passion is what's going to ride you through. Passion is what makes us pivot when things get tough. Passion is what makes us, stay up at night and think about, wait, that carrot has beta carotene, and oh my gosh, what would happen if I put the carrot in it? So I mean, those are the kind of things, wait, what can I do now that the spa isn't open? Because this is a very scary, uncharted time for business owners, and my heart goes out to spa owners, because no spa is operating where it was. Even if you're in a state or a city or wherever it is where your spa is open, people are not comfortable coming back in the way they were. People are worried about their finances. Spa owners are having a very difficult time. Some estheticians and therapists do not feel comfortable, doing treatments during COVID. So that's another class I've been teaching, is how can you be as safe as you can be during COVID. There's a lot we can do. And if you choose to do it. So I think passion is what gets you through these hard times, and rising up, like, rise up, like, we can do this. We're all in this together. Rise up, lean on other spa owner. What have you done? What are you doing? What can I do? So I think, yeah, I think that's what I would suggest.
I love it. There are many footsteps in the snow that you could follow, but I think of all the options out there, if I had to choose someone to emulate and steps to follow in, it's probably going to be Debbie Burns from
Oh,
Somebody. The Queen of Beauty. There she is, ladies and gents. We're going to have her back on. Author, chemist, mother, general, just wow. Polymath, pioneer. I could go on, but I won't for sake of time. We have day jobs to get back to. But Debbie, I appreciate you immensely jumping on the show today, and I'm glad we could pull this off and make it happen.
Me too. Have a fantastic rest of your day.
You as well.